हमारे उस पे कर रहा हूँ
Okay,
ना।
Suneel.
हाँ।
So now you have been working with the Korean. You worked. How long did you work
Let's
with
take
them?
that
Huh?
Jantar-Mantar thing, which was
हाँ
a sign of the Asiads.
हाँ आ रहा है वो
हाँ।
आ रहा है पीछे आ रहा है
Asiads
हाँ
का
वो आ
sign
रहा है पीछे आ रहा है
right. So
Okay.
so 82 Asiads का sign.
हाँ
अच्छा. So what I was saying is, where was I?
अच्छा so you had started working with the Koreans.
I started
You were
working
working
with
in the
the
food
Koreans.
courts,
In the
and then
food
you thought of living by yourself instead of living with all the roommates, all the friends.
Necessarily only to be independent,
हाँ
because I have my own independent views of livelihood,
right
which I still follow as in my this thing, being single and whatever,
हाँ
and whole lot of other things added
yes
to it.
yes.
So
how did you?
so with the Koreans, what happened was, I was very good with them, and I was at time I was so efficient in my work, which was nothing for me actually, and which was like a seafood salad bar, where the Koreans didn't know English and I knew a lot of English. So what I would do is like handle 2 cash registers,
Right.
where people, where these Koreans, where the staff would come in the mall during the lunch break. It used to be the busiest. They would pick up trays of food,
Yeah.
both salad. It was a seafood salad bar, and you had seafood and you had hot food, 6 distinct portions, and they'll come and weigh it.
हाँ
So I used to handle 2 cash registers at the same time.
it was basically a salad bar by weight. They used to
The salad bar,
yeah,
seafood salad bar.
where you
so
pay by
had,
weight.
You had some hot food also, like lo mein and fried rice.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Ribs, pork ribs,
हाँ right.
and chicken. I in fact even made chicken curry for them by weight.
Right.
And they didn't like that aspect because I took a lot of time in building. So in New York, you don't spend time on things that is not appreciated. That doesn't yield into results. Fast
Yeah,
results.
yeah,
New York
exactly.
state of mind.
Right.
It's a New York state of mind. You're either quick or you're dead.
Either
So-
quick or you're dead.
Yes.
Right.
So that's the basic approach towards life.
So
And
now,
anyways,
how long did you?
I used to work for lunch there,
Ah.
and then I used to go down to this partner's shop. This was upstairs in the food court, and then in the evenings I used to go and work for his specialty shop, where I
Right.
increased the sales. I used to talk to people from all parts of the world and sell every kind of thing. They had luggage, they had leather goods, like they had leather products like files and like wallets and women's wallets and luggage and hats, fancy hats.
Right.
So
Okay, so now.
so I was making more money.
Ah.
What the Koreans would do, this particular Korean, his name was Mr. Fong. He's no more in this world, unfortunately. And we had a good rapport with him and his partner at the food court. And I had the greatest time. So Indians would pay like $5 an hour in 1990, and later on also. Let's say another 5 years. Half a decade.
And how much were they paying you?
They were paying me $7 an hour, and I had great relationship with them. And the hours were limited, and I would get a day off. With Indians, what happened is like with Indian people, like
Indian
hiring
Indian
and
vendors and shopkeepers.
vendors and the workers also.
The shopkeepers.
So these guys, the Koreans, they evaluate, like the Japanese also do, the best of the performers who yields good results.
So then you started thinking about doing your own business. Right?
So I had made other friends who had also come on tourist visa and were working for, let's say, this guy who was working for his brother-in-law, and they had push carts in a mall, in the same mall. And we would hang around in the evenings and weekends and things, and he would stay over at my apartment. So I was living alone on my apartment as a free person, and I rented my whole apartment to myself. And even if I was paying more, I was enjoying life. And then this guy said, like, you want to do your own business? I said, why not? And that's the time he introduced me in Manhattan, in the wholesale section, which is basically what do you say? What is that main lane? I'm forgetting that name.
That's okay. That's okay.
What is that called? Broadway.
Right.
Broadway, everyone knows. So this Broadway was 34th Street and 37th Street, very near Penn Station in Manhattan. And he introduced me to a lot of importers, manufacturers. And then, like, in contrast to other Indians, I would go to someone who's from Syria, a Christian Syrian.
Yeah.
And I would go to the Jews. The Jewish people were mostly based in 47th Street, which is 47th Street which is the diamond industry.
Right.
The world's largest. And Manhattan is the world's largest money involved. And people from all over the world would come and buy stuff, not only jewelry, clothing, everything wholesale. This is the wholesale section around Penn Station, around 30th Street.
So you decided that you wanted to also get into the jewelry business or in the trading business?
Yes, I always did. Before I left for America, I attended Indian Institute of Foreign Trade
you said
in
that.
international marketing.
Right.
After coming back from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Because I said, like, all this thing and the Indian government's inability to get you going is limiting your progress, the citizens' progress, which is still valid today, 40 years later, 44 years later. So what I'm saying is that, or 43, 44 years later, it doesn't matter. It is the same attitude for 75 years
Right.
after independence. Anyways, so what I was doing is, like, this person had contacts with the jewelry, this thing, so they would give me loan, but give me stuff on loan at a higher rate and very limited amount. I remember the amount. It was like a $2,000 worth when the dollar rate was 40 rupees a dollar
Right.
in 1990 and 93. So I would get $2,000 worth of sterling silver jewelry as I started doing flea markets. Mostly I did 2 flea markets. One was in Queens, New York. Both were in New York, and one was in Long Island, New York. One was called the Aqueduct Flea Market, and the other one was called Richmond. I think it was called Richmond Hill. No, not Richmond Hill. I'm sorry. It is called. I'm forgetting the name.
It's okay.
And then I started traveling a little more. So to get to do this flea market, I bought myself a rundown van, which didn't last. So I got.
So what was the status of your visa by now? It had already expired long ago, right?
By that time it had expired. 6 months later it had expired.
600.
Nobody cared. I didn't care.
And you'd already been there for like 3-4 years.
Yes, let's put it that way. Definitely. When I was doing my this thing, it was 5 years later. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And the Koreans have said, very good luck. And these are the positive-minded people who said, like, if you need a job, you got it with us again. So I have worked with them 3 times. And the 3rd time, I had the owner knowing where I used to live in the rented apartment by myself. I had changed my rented apartment from Long Island.
Did you have any problem getting apartments?
No.
No, not
There
at all.
is no problem.
You mentioned once to me that the landlord, sometimes you had a little bit difficulty in renting.
No,
Nahi?
never.
Achha. And
You get a
rented
good reference.
primarily in Italian areas, you said you...
I had Italian areas for most of the time in New York.
Right.
I changed. Actually, in fact, it's very interesting. I had changed 3 times on my own.
Let me